Welcome to the Blackout Show, presented by The Guillen Grid, a show about the Chicago White Sox baseball, the good, the bad, the ugly. We'll debate what's working and what's not on the south side of Chicago. It's old school versus new school baseball. And most importantly, we're keeping all the receipts.
This is the Blackout Show, another episode and another rant coming from one of us. I won't tell you who it is, but you can probably guess. We were supposed to start this show with a discussion about Luis Robert, but I'm going to put one of my co-hosts on the spot right now to start. We've got Ozzie Guillen Jr., we've got Chris Gonzalez on the show. Justin Lee is trying to figure out his iPad. It just went to shit on him. So Justin will hopefully join us whenever he's available. But in place of Luis Robert, I want to talk about Michael Kopech. And I said this in, I think, a couple previous episodes that we've done. When are we going to take the kid gloves off of Michael Kopech? Chris Gonzalez, when are you going to stop backing up the lack of strikes, the short outings? You can battle all you want. You can, look, to his credit, he hasn't had good stuff. And he's still not gotten shelled. But 6 of 16 starts this season, he has 4 or more walks. 3 starts now, he's walked 6 guys. That's unacceptable. He's not young anymore. He's not a prospect anymore. He's not a guy who's just breaking into the big leagues that we have this long leash. If this team is supposed to be the team that we expect or want them to be, a contender, you can't have people like Chris Gonzalez saying he's a number 2 starter or potential number 2 starter. You have to ultimately do it. Gonzo, when are you going to just acknowledge that maybe he's not the guy that we were hoping? When do you officially say, okay, we can't just keep putting up with 4 innings and 6 walks?
Right. No, Slavko, that's a great question. And yes, you got to hold him accountable. Especially a kid with that potential. And like you said, even in those starts, in the past month from May to June, he had 8 starts. And, I think only in 2 of those outings, he actually gave up more than 2 earned runs. And then again, in those outings of 4 more walks, he only allowed 1 earned run. So, yeah, he's managing to pitch himself out of these outings where his control is absurd. Just like tonight, he had 4 walks and not even 2 innings. And he only given up 1 earned, or now it's 2 earned runs through 5, was it? But yeah, that's not good enough to be up in where, Rick Hahn traded him for Chris Sale and Moncada. Those 2 guys, you have to hold both of them accountable. But altogether, I can't even just put on him because this is just a team that pitching is doing well and the offense is just cold. And altogether, they can't put it together.
That's not the point. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm not saying you have to blame or pin it on him that, the team is not reaching the expectations or the ceiling that we thought that they had. My point is we cannot keep continuing to make excuses just because. What's up, Jay?
All right, I'm back. God.
He's alive. The 4th member of the crew. So Jay, I was just ranting about Michael Kopech and I put Gonzo on the spot about, when are we going to take the kid gloves off of Kopech, and when are we going to start acknowledging he's not going deep into ball games? His control has not been there over and over and over. Yes, it's fine that he's only given up a couple runs, but he's not going deep into games. You've got Touki Toussaint pitching in the 5th inning. White Sox fans didn't know who this guy was a week ago.
Slavko, I know, like last episode we were talking about eventually Grafal has to lean on this rotation because for the most part through this whole season, these guys
he's got
have
91 pitches through 5. What are you going to do?
This whole rotation has gone hot and cold. Besides
that's the whole team.
Giolito. It's Giolito for the most part.
Well, I disagree with the hot and cold part. This is my concern with Michael Kopech. Michael Kopech today is a poor man's number 3 starter, 4 or 5 on really good teams. And when you're looking to build for the future of what comes beyond this season, even when he's not good, it doesn't go beyond 5 innings. So the maturity of being able to consume innings, okay, and that's where the White Sox are going to have to learn how to construct, because if you're going to go in with a rotation where 2 out of the 5 starters are only going to go 4 or 5 innings, you better have a really, really good bullpen. You compare that to Lance Lynn, even when he struggles, he still consumes the innings, so he doesn't destroy your bullpen. So it's not even about Michael Kopech being hot or not hot, because guys are going to struggle. It's the fact that he has not convinced anyone that he is a starter, meaning does this guy have more value in the bullpen? That's my main question when they build out, because he's not a number 1. He's a number 2 on a very bad team, 3 on a great year in his best stuff. Right now, he's potentially a 4, depending who your 5th one is on other teams.
It's just unfortunate. At the same time, though, Cease had those stretches that Kopech is having too. And Cease is the guy that I'm head over heels for as far as a pitcher that I absolutely fell in love with. But again, he started off real well in the season, then went cold, and now he's starting to battle it back. And ultimately, they both have gone, 6 and under several times throughout this season. But
Gonzo, I'm asking you a simple question. When do we, I don't want to say pull the plug, when is it time to say, okay, Michael Kopech is not the guy that we thought he was? He's 27. He's been around the major league since 2018. Yes, he had the injury. Yes, he skipped the COVID year. I understand that. But that doesn't just mean that we ignore that those exist. He's not getting it done right now. He has the stuff.
Yeah.
I love his mentality on the mound, to his credit. But I'm not talking about Cease. I'm not talking about the rotation. I'm not talking about the White Sox. I'm talking specifically with Michael Kopech. When do we start being accountable with him like we are with Lance Lynn, like we are with other players?
Well, as Gonzo, on your note, and like the fact that you even try to compare him to Dylan Cease, okay? Dylan Cease has thrown 180 plus innings already in the big leagues. Okay? He's done it once. Michael, I'll let you look up his innings consumed in his career.
285 in 5 seasons.
In 5 seasons. And that's the concerning part. And that's the part where I critique analytics, because I don't care about rotation. I don't care about velo. I don't care about strikes versus strikeouts, whip, any analytics you want to give it. Innings pitched, okay? You still have to play 9. That's the game of baseball, with the clock, without the clock. And when you look at innings consumed, him versus other prospects, I'm not saying that he's not good. I'm saying is he going to be the number 2 on this team that's going to pitch, X amount of innings? Like right now, I think if Crochet, for example, was given the same opportunity as Michael Kopech, he probably would do the same thing with less years in the big leagues. Throw the same amount of innings, walk as many guys, and be a starting pitcher. Like right now today, let's say Crochet, go be a starter. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that he is not taking that step, and his innings are going to be less again. So I actually have him on the Pantera side of Pantera's great. When is he going to play more than 100 games? Like the season's the season. So that's my take with Kopech, of them having a really serious sit down with him and say, hey man, like, can your body take? And some pitchers can't. Some pitchers, that's why they become bullpen guys, Josh Haders, and they become amazing bullpen guys, because they cannot consume that many innings, and that's okay. They need to find that out that very quickly, because if not, they have to sign another starter.
Well, I was just going to say, let's just be honest here. Like, no matter how talented Michael Kopech is, he's a very inefficient pitcher. And you're not going to get away being a starter like that going forward, especially where, like Slavko said, you're not 23, you're not 24 no more. You're 27 years old. Pretty soon we're going to be looking at a 30-year-old pitcher that's going to struggle to get 165 to 180 innings under his belt.
And if I remember correctly, in episode 3, when we had this big Tristan McKenzie, Michael Kopech debate, Gonzo was making this excuse that 150 innings would be like a great season for Michael Kopech. Number one, if he continues like this, there's no way he's going to reach it, because he's not getting deep enough into ball games. There's just too many walks. Number 2,
and he's fucking healthy too, Slavko. Like,
this is knock on wood, because it's a very fragile thing with this franchise.
150 innings is good though. In today's game,
it's not a number 2 starter.
Ohtani did it. Ohtani did it last year.
He's a
so
DH.
Did Zach Wheeler. So did Zach Wheeler, a guy that we wanted.
Yeah, and Zach Wheeler is better than Michael Kopech.
But would you put him as one of your best arms in rotation for Philly?
Zach Wheeler?
Yeah.
He's got a sub-4 ERA. He was sub-3 each of the last 2 seasons.
Last year? We're talking about last year with 150.
Last year, 153 innings, 2.82 ERA.
Okay. And what's
and the year before that, he led all of baseball with 2.13 and a sub-3 ERA. Michael Kopech's not done any of those things. He's not sniffed any of those things.
Yeah, but I'm saying if we get Kopech to that innings, I'm happy with that.
Yes, I'll take that out.
If I lose 30 pounds, I'd be light.
Because
Wheeler's done it. Wheeler threw 213 and then he threw 153, meaning his potential is between 153 and 213. Michael Kopech has not even sniffed 150.
119 was his last season high last year.
It. That's what I'm saying. He's not even close. So saying if he gets 150, Michael Kopech throws 150. That's like an old school guy, Lance Lynn throwing 250 or throwing through 100. That's the part that you guys don't get. You guys are saying if Vaughn hits 40, he's gonna have a great year. No shit. If Michael Kopech throws 150, he's not even close. He's not even in the vicinity of smelling that. Right now, I'm okay with on Twitter when we're talking about Pantera. He might hit 40. I'm like, yeah, he could. Look at the at bats. If he plays more than 100 games, he's gonna do it. But that's why I argue with the Andrew Vaughn. People were acting like he had 200 at bats. I'm like, this guy had 500 at bats in the big leagues. Didn't even sniff it. So with Michael Kopech, the only thing I'm saying is they need to be realistic with him because if he's not going to be a starter, and I don't know what they're going to do with Crochet, and Giolito's up in the air, they need to sign another starter and keep Clevenger, and then Lynn doesn't go anywhere. Because I don't care how bad the division is next year. Very hard to win a division or win anything with 2 pitchers, quote unquote, maybe a third. That's just the reality of the game today.
And I thought, when I say he has 2 potential, he has to build up to that because, like you said, Slav, it was 119 last year.
Yeah.
But when is he going to build it?
He was starting. That arm was starting to get tired at 85, 90 innings.
That's what I'm saying, though. But he's going to build it to when? That's what Slav wants to know.
So next year he's 28 years old, and we're still trying to build. And then after that, maybe when he's 29, he'll finally have that full. What are we trying to do?
I think this comes down to what really Junior was alluding to, and the fact that it's really an organizational issue, building up these arms coming off of TJ injuries, like Kopech, like Crochet. What was Crochet's plan? Because right before, or it was last year in August, Han said he's going to be our starter in the starting rotation next year. And then a month after he said that, he has a fallback. And then when he comes off of that recovery, now it's we're going to stretch him out 1 inning to 2 to 3 innings as a relief pitcher. I don't see what the plan was behind it.
I'm going around then to then. So then how come you guys said that Ethan Katz is a genius? This is the stuff that I don't get. The pitching is an organizational situation. So do we put that on Rick? By the way, I've been around Rick. Rick is not a developer. He's very smart, a lot of things. He's not developing pitching. Is it on the big league pitching coach? I don't even know who the minor league director is right now for all pitching. I can't tell you his name. Who's I'm saying, who's the organization? So when you say organizational, because before Katz, they had a pitching coach for the last 40 years, Don Cooper, which his pitching was, it was better than bad. So when people say that, you're saying an organizational problem. Does that include Ethan Katz? Because you cannot have, say, a comment like that today, and then a week later say Ethan Katz is a genius. That you cannot. It's either he's good and what he's doing, and I'm not saying Ethan Katz is bad. I'm just saying every time they're talking about a plan, because I would hope that he's part of those recovery conversations of when his guys come back.
Well, let me ask you guys this: do you see a major difference in Kopech from day one than right now? Let's just take this start in LA right now. That's the same guy. That's the same young pitcher. So when does the adjustment period start? When you already went through the growing pains and you still got the same product. So
you're talking about day one from his debut in 2018 or day one of this season?
Day one from 2018.
Oh God, 2018. Do you remember how electric that game was? He was throwing 98, 99. The crowd, that to me is probably still more than Moncada. Moncada was close, but I thought Kopech's debut was one of the most exciting.
It was the best debut in anything White Sox in the past 20 years.
Since Abreu. I think since Abreu. Abreu's debut was...
I didn't know when Abreu debuted. I knew when Michael Kopech
13.
debuted.
Well, no, Abreu was a big deal because he had like a $70 million contract. They never sniffed
I don't remember, but
America.
I'm saying Kopech, I can tell you, maybe because I was
from a prospect, yeah.
He was.
That was an electric atmosphere at the ballpark. Every single pitch, people were like, "Wow, this guy was throwing gas." Yes. He was averaging 94.5 today on the fastball. He was throwing 99 back in 2018. So, like, yes, I understand multiple injuries, lower body, upper body, Tommy John. I get that. Most guys, well, I don't want to say most guys. A lot of guys now come back with the same or better stuff, the same or better velocity, because they can start from scratch, and basically a rehab program builds them into the guy that every major leaguer wants to be. In a way, it's almost like a lot of pitching now, it's inevitable you're going to get some sort of major surgery, knock it out early, then start fresh and build up. Dylan Cease had to do the same thing when he was in the minor leagues.
I just want to say something. So I know that you guys like calling out my guy, Tristan McKenzie. So look at Tristan's numbers, Gonzo. And I'm not looking at none of the stuff that you guys look at Baseball Savant. Just innings pitched. 33.1, 120. Again, 33.1, then he jumped to 120, then he went to 191. Okay? So that means when he's healthy, you can say 150 is a number that is probably reachable. He's at 10 right now. I'm not going to go out on a limb, but I'm probably going to like to see how those numbers end at the end of the season. We're compared to Michael. Meaning if he stays healthy the whole way, this guy, and that's what I'm saying. Like when you're looking at innings pitched, and when they're, again, the White Sox could be having a plan and having backdoor conversations between the leaders, meaning the pitching coach, manager.
There are no leaders on the White Sox.
No. I'm saying like, meaning like we're going to go with Tampa Bay, and our plan is to go in and have every starter throw 90 innings. Because if you're a good front office, if you're a good thing, you do the innings. There's 9 innings of baseball. Okay, we need to cover this many innings. We want our starters to cover this much. And it's simple math. And now with the analytics, you could probably do it, Excel does it very easy for you. So you don't have to be a genius to just run the numbers to do that. So I'm hoping that they do that, because when you run the math on the simple math, you're like, it's when I give guys like Lance Lynn more value. And you're like, Lance Lynn is eating a lot of innings that he's like probably not supposed to on other starts, even when he's like not very good. So that's my only concern. And when people say his development is like a guy that's 21, 22 years old. Over the age of 26, you're not developing. You're literally working for your job, and you have to produce. Because once you hit that number past 30, so for me, it's just that bullpen situation. Is he a bullpen guy? If he is, he's going to be one of the most electric guys, I think, in the game.
Well, if he is, that trade is an even bigger failure.
Mm-hmm. I think we're at a point to now where you could say Michael Kopech's best production was out of the pen.
I think that's fair. I mean, he had a stretch of a few outings last year that were, like outstanding. We've seen flashes, but we've never seen any like extended spurt of really great starting pitching from Michael Kopech, where we've seen him dominate for a stretch of period out of the bullpen. That's sucks,
crazy.
Man.
That's like, crazy, bro.
Now that I think about that, now that you mentioned that debut back in 2018, like that was a huge game, and the excitement was like, all right, we've got the next Justin Verlander, and he had the stuff, he had the mentality, he was the top prospect. I remember, at the time in NBC, we were doing so many features on all the prospects because that's all we cared about. Like during the rebuild, they were losing 99, 100 games. Like we didn't care at all what anybody was doing in the major leagues. Like we wanted to see Kopech and those guys.
I'll tell you why I like them, though, and I'm going to be completely honest. I actually got to meet him and Cease in the same White Sox fest, and right away, I could tell that Cease was way mature beyond his years, and I thought that Michael Kopech was carrying himself like, this kid's got it. And this is going to sound horrible. Hopefully it doesn't come bite me back in the ass. I was like, the White Sox did not scout these guys. Somebody else thought that these guys were the top notch. I really do. I said the Cubs thought that this guy was top notch. The Red Sox thought this guy was top notch. I was like, these two guys will be the 1-2 punch in the future just because they're not White Sox guys. Same thing, I had Eloy really high up. And then Pantera because somebody that I really trust in baseball. And the fact that Kenny Williams went out there and saw him himself. Wasn't scouted by any other scouts. Kenny Williams flew there himself and saw Pantera. I was like, that guy has real tools because Kenny knows what he's doing when it comes to that. those are the reasons I said Eloy was not a White Sox guy, and Michael Kopech and Cease are coming from other organizations. Other teams like them. I like those. I like my odds. And then when I met them personally, I thought the way that they carried themselves, and by the way, two very different personalities, but I was like, they both have big league makeup. And I know that I'm weird with that. When I talk to guys, when I meet guys, I'm like, this guy looks like he can, we can work with this. Like, I think this guy has something that's there. And I still think that he has that. Again, now with his injuries and the way that it comes for him, they got to find the best spot for him to shine. And it could be a great story like a Hader or somebody that had a great relief career or is having a great relief career when becoming a starting pitcher didn't even work out because of stamina or whatever reason. And then maybe they flip-flop him in Crochet. Again, another reason why you probably could trade a lot of these bullpen guys if that's the plan.
Any final thoughts on Kopech? Gonzo, I'll give you the floor since I put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Well, you got to figure it out because as of next year...
you got to figure it out. You're the stand.
As of next year, going into 2024, you only have likely Cease and Kopech on your depth chart in your rotation. So, yeah, Hahn needs to figure it out what he's going to do at the trade deadline with several of these pitchers. But again, you got to start building and how you're going to do that. It's a tough position that Hahn has ever been in to this point, and I don't see it getting any better. But for the hope of my sanity as a fan, I really hope he can figure it out if he's going to stay here.
He put him there.
They did it before with two guys, James Garland and Mark Burley, and they got rid of everybody else. You can do it if they have a number two.
Which I feel like if you have a competent GM, you absolutely can do it. But I don't have any faith left in Hahn.
So number one in most walks this is live statistics I'm looking at right now. Number one in Major League Baseball, most walks, Michael Kopech, 49 walks in 86 innings. That's insane. Number 5, most walks, Dylan Cease. He's tied with Ohtani to his credit. And then number 13, Lance Lynn. It's a problem.
Yeah,
so
that's a problem.
They walk a lot of guys, but they don't walk a lot themselves. By the way, I see the future right here. Is that a Jake Berger first baseman glove?
Ohtani just did it again. My God, he just hit another bomb
off of Toussaint.
He's got, I think, 6 home runs in 5 games now against.
By the way, talking, I know it's not part of the show, but I really like this pickup of Toussaint.
He was a top prospect for the Braves.
He was a huge prospect for the Braves. He just couldn't figure out the zone. Not a lot of innings and let him go. I thought Cleveland let him go.
Perfect on the White Sox then.
I'm just saying, but as like a fixer upper, I like
Cueto value.
No, because he's got way better. Again, this is a funny part. You guys are all analytics guys. Nobody looked up his stuff because because no one's told you that his stuff is good. That's why nobody on Twitter has said that his stuff is good. Analytic players, people that love analytics, need somebody to tell them this guy's got great stuff analytical wise, and everybody's this guy's stuff's nasty. No one goes in. This guy's stuff, just his stuff. He doesn't know where it's going. Is really, really good. It's like an Andrew Sisco. You have to take a chance on him. Look at his size. Look at his, he's just a monster.
Oh, there's a name, Andrew Sisco.
Only guy Don Cooper couldn't fix.
Mike McDougal. The two guys that came from Kansas City.
McDougal wasn't as bad as Sisco. Sisco was a complete.
Sisco was a project.
I literally thought I saw him fix a lot of guys. I had a lot of hope on him because of what he did with Jose Contreras. Saw it on a daily basis. And when you talk about guys throwing very, very hard, but having no clue whatsoever where it was going, that was poor Andrew Sisco. Imagine seeing a guy hit 97, 98, 96 on the gun like it was nothing, but could not find control. That's how good Major League Baseball hitters are. This guy was just like a freak show, size-wise, speed-wise.
OJ, if we give you 10 tries, you could get a hit off Andrew Sisco?
Hell no. You can give me 45 tries. I don't think I could. Number one, I'd be scared because he doesn't know where
he doesn't know where it's going.
He doesn't know where it's going. Number two, he looks like a scary human being. Probably one of the scariest guys Ozzy ever managed of just presence himself. Great guy, but just very scary looking. And
like 6'8", right? Big,
just humongous.
Brick house,
bald
dude.
head, just like.
So he's like Kane from WWE.
Yes. Yeah. He is like yes. And he was very quiet. And he had his tattoos, and he was a very intimidating factor. Like, this guy could hurt you. And when he was on the mound, he was extremely he was like a tough guy on the mound. So very loud when he was throwing, a lot of sounds. just a very uncomfortable at bat. And that's what the Sox were like. If this guy could just throw 2 strikes a batter, he's going to strike the guy out because no one's going to want to face him, but they couldn't fix him.
All right, last thought on Kopech, since Juan Diego, shout out to Juan Diego for always listening and watching with us. He has most home runs allowed. Yusei Kikuchi, number 1 with 20. Lance Lynn tied for second with 19 home runs allowed. Kopech 6th with 17. Again,
Jesus.
not great. And Giolito's given up 14 bombs. So don't look at the stats if you want to feel any better about the White Sox. That's for sure.
And Gonzo's trying to send Giolito to Seattle.
You got to get something if you're just going to let him walk.
Do you think? By the way, do you think that they're having that conversation? And this goes.
They
back
better
to
be.
Kopech. I'm saying like no. I'm saying like if you're that close with, everyone talks about being close, and we saw Giolito's dad's post. And like, do you think anyone's built enough rapport with Giolito where they're like, hey, we're gonna trade and then sign you? Like, do you think like they're open enough to do that with Giolito that they won't get out that they said that? Or do you think that they won't even try that and they're just going to let him like either just try signing him? Like they won't try to pull one of those off.
Justin knows the Giolito trade I want.
Because I know
okay,
for Freddie
so
Garcia,
share with the family. What the hell are you holding secrets
by the way,
for?
with Freddie Garcia, they said if I get traded to the White Sox, I will sign on the spot when I get there. Hey, he will sign. Because I knew Freddie wasn't going to be like, oh no, like that. You just ask him and say, hey man, what do you really want? Like I've seen it happen with AJ. They did it. AJ, there were negotiations. It was like, this is what we need from you, because of like the structure of the team and the contracts and the way that they were making money. And he was very involved in his signing. And I know that his deal, and the other day he tweeted about he took less money. But that was like between them. Like they went and like, they told him, hey, this is the situation that we're in. If we sign you, we can't sign X, Y, and Z. So it was like one of those Tom Brady type moments. But you can't have those conversations with a player unless you really, really trust them, because it could backfire on you and say, we're going to trade you, but then, we might want to sign you, or we don't want to have to
Is that the situation you want to go into with Giolito, though?
I just think bad feelings. I just like, dude, we're not trading you because we hate you or don't like you. We're trading you because we're going to get value back, and we're going to go in the offseason, and we've been sleeping together for the past 6 years. I want to get first dibs on you when I want to marry you. I want to extend you. So don't like not answer my phone when I call you. Like, let me have the first
that's
shot.
not what the situation is with the White Sox. Like, it's right now, it's basically saying, like, we know we don't agree on what your value is and what you think your value is. So we have to trade you to get something back. That's where the White Sox are at with Giolito.
You're correct.
If they're that far apart on, I want X amount and we're going to offer you Z amount, then there's nothing you can do. You either have to give him a qualifying offer and potentially be stuck with an angry guy for one more year at 19, 20 million, whatever that might be. And if he does sign elsewhere, you might get a second, third round pick, whatever it is. To me, even if you're 4.5 games back or even closer, if you know he's walking this winter, you have to trade him.
Oh, you have
to. If you can get someone as like a fill-in in a trade, get a prospect or two, and then get a guy who can eat you some innings and maybe give you a chance, then that's what you have to do if you still think you have a shot at the division. But, I mean, this is just the spot that they've put themselves in.
I'm calling the Dodgers, and I'm going to try to get Dalton rushing.
Sounds great.
Yeah,
never.
I think with Lucas, I think the part that's for him, if he goes elsewhere, his
what's the website with the trade values? I can look it up.
Baseball trade value.
Oh yeah, super obvious.
Well, Gonzo, that was better than the trade you told me earlier. You was going to try to send Giolito to Kansas City for Terrence Gore, Alcides Escobar, and Wade Davis.
I have a question. Is he a
prospect ghost of Billy Butler?
By the way, is he a prospect like Popeye is a prospect, or is this like a guy? Is he a prospect on the guy on the Dodgers? Is he a prospect like
you're disrespectful,
or is he a prospect like Popeye is a prospect? Your guy Popeye.
So right now,
without the spinach, by the way.
So the Dodgers have 2 catching prospects, Carteret and Rushing. Rushing's the second prospect, but he's the Futures game representative of the Dodgers.
Oh, this sounds just like the Boston trade. Do you remember who he was the Futures representative for the Red Sox? And the White Sox fans said, we screwed them. We got the guy that went to the Futures game. It sounds just like the Boston trade for Devers Moncada.
For a rental in Giolito, I'm all up for that.
I'm just saying.
You're not going to get a top prospect for a rental.
You're not going to get a top prospect
just
for a rental.
get that out of your mind right now, especially at a premium position like catcher.
No,
but
they're not getting that.
They have enough to give away for catching. Because rushing's not the guy that they're first bringing up. It's Carteret.
This again. I don't care who they're going to get. This storyline,
and they're going to have to probably trade Smith.
Is not going to happen. It's going to be like a Jose Contreras for Esteban Loaiza type trade. If it's a rental player.
What did the Blue Jays get for Varsho?
Well, Varsho's 24, 25 years old.
Yeah.
He plays every position.
They traded.
That's not at all the same
Gabriel
thing. You have tons of
Moreno.
control.
You have 1 year of control on Giolito, and here's the thing: if he goes to a pennant race, okay, his money will 2x in a pennant race run if he pitches well. We've seen what happens when guys go elsewhere and they get that playoff TV time that you pitch well, and they know that he's healthy. It will it will make his value a lot higher. So it'll be that much harder to sign him.
I feel it's possible with the need for pitching at the deadline.
Well, there's no one.
The pitching that's out there.
Gonzo, tell me everything you know about Dalton rushing. And okay, by the way, this Trade Values website has rushing as it's 21 versus Giolito just under 15. I don't know what those mean.
But the guy's never pitched in the big leagues, but it's only a 21 to 50.
Oh no, he's a catcher.
Oh, so no. Okay, so he's a catcher. So, but he's never caught in the big leagues. But he's only 5 points away from a guy that has been pitching in the big leagues for the past 7 years.
Again, look at Montgomery's value.
Well, Montgomery. Oh my God.
No, just wait for this to blow your mind.
Because they keep selling him. You know
All
what
right,
Montgomery is?
I'm
Like
pulling it
a
up.
white heavyweight.
47.5, which means he is triple the value of Lucas Giolito.
That is nuts. That is like you are. If you go by that, you are. Montgomery is the great white heavyweight hope. You've seen the boxing in the boxing world.
Version 9.0.
They want him to be so good because they want him to be a shortstop and they want him to work out so well. How is that guy? And again, we got to go to our next subject. How is a guy who's never played AAA baseball have 3 times the value of a pitcher who is probably going to get $100 million in a premier position like pitching? That's where analytics is mind-blowing crazy. There's guys that would hit better than Montgomery that are hitting 215 who want to get run out of town named Joan Moncada. I'm going to go on a limb, and I'm going to say Moncada looked way better than Montgomery ever did in the minor league system.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Well, that's not even a discussion.
What I'm saying, though. So when you compare – and this guy's struggling in the big leagues. He literally played well one really good year, and he's been like average the rest of the time, holding for hope with elite defense, and we want to run him out of town. But this guy named Montgomery has 3 times the value of Lucas Giolito, yet I've never even seen him play, and I can go off the limb saying that he's not better than Moncada in the minor leagues.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's Moncada made AAA look like he was in the little leagues.
Like him and Pantera made that when you would put the highlights would go on TV and you see these 2 guys in the minor leagues, you're like, oh my God, to stop wasting their time, just bring them up to the big leagues because that level is completed 1,000%. But yeah, that trade value 3 times, I will never be looking at that website, but thanks.
Meanwhile, Gregory Santos and Tuki Tucson have given up a couple runs here in the 7th. Sox down 4-1 to the Angels as we tape this. The frustration continues. All right. So we were supposed to start this show talking about Luis Robert, and we've now gone half an hour talking about pitching. Anyway, so Luis Robert has had a hell of a little few weeks here. And realistically, like the month of May and June, he's been outstanding. I think his OPS is over 1,000 both of those months. And I know Junior is going to have a field day with this one. White Sox fans love to throw around superstar and this and top 10 player and get him in the home run derby and all-star game and blah, blah, blah. And while I understand, and that's all well and good and that's exciting, it's the same thing we were talking about with Kopech, same thing we were talking about with anybody else who's just had flashes. Luis Robert has had flashes of great, great, great play on both hitting and fielding. Right now, he's like top 10 in WAR, in home runs, extra base hits, plus outs above average in center field. Like he's Gold Glove and Silver Slugger and All-Star. Like, he's doing it. 22 home runs, like, with ease, and they come in bunches. And we've seen that this past week. Good. It's about time. It's about time we're seeing it regularly. Number one, let's see him do it over the course of a full season and then repeat that once teams, which kind of leads into number two. Why is anyone throwing him a strike at all? Is there any reason to throw him anything but sliders off the plate? Because you know he's going to chase it. Why are you throwing any fastball remotely close to the strike zone? That's just bad scouting, bad pitching execution, bad calling behind the plate, whatever that might be. But to Luis Roberts' credit, he's got all the tools. We're finally seeing it. It's freaking exciting as hell. But, like, let's pump the brakes on the superstar and let's pump the brakes on top 10 player in baseball. There's, I guarantee you, more than 10 players in Major League Baseball right now that you would not trade straight up for Luis Robert. So good for us. I feel like maybe he looks a little shinier because there's a bunch of grime and crap on the rest of this roster right now and this underperforming team. But good for Luis Robert. But let's just not call him a superstar yet. I feel like he can be. We all know that. Let's see him do it for a full season.
Yeah, I'm not even surprised at this performance. I mean, Luis Robert has, for the past couple of weeks, has been the epitome of the White Sox. A terrible team with a bunch of solo home runs. Like, even with Luis Robert having a fucking 1,000 OPS, we're still abysmal with runners in scoring position. So does Luis Robert getting hot make the White Sox better? Because the losses are still piling up. These home runs, he's the only one running around the bases these days.
Yeah.
So
there's not many runners on when they hit these homers.
So what are we going to do? We're going to just sit on top of 36 solo home runs and crown them?
You want to crown them? Then crown their ass. Yeah. But the Luis Robert is who we thought he was. Exactly. And we let him off the hook.
No, you know what? I'm going to be so. I get my father.
Danny Green.
No, yeah, right. My father's part of the media, and we often argue about this. And Slav's worked on it, and again, we have a show, and you can be kind of like your own. You could do this yourself, where you have to talk so positive about a guy that everyone then believes that he's a superstar, and I don't know if it's because the White Sox haven't had a guy like that in a long time, because they really have, that they're yearning for him so much. This thirst for this guy, claiming him to be a Hall of Famer, before actually him going and doing the work, of fans actually going and enjoying it and saying, wow, this guy has it, and seeing that development and seeing, like, you're one of the All-Star game in year two, and, like, and it's funny things because, like, you got McKnight said, build a statue, and, they want the slogan, and it's just like, and when you look at the numbers, you're like, the average player that plays in Major League Baseball is this average. So, like, he has the tools, and, between, there's so many things that can go wrong in a career. And for Luis Robert is injuries, in my opinion. His issue is when he is healthy, he produces. Mind you, he produces like the Chicago weather. When he is on, it's on and he is hot. When he is cold, he will go 0 for 40 and chase everything. I don't critique him because there's guys like Jose Ramirez that White Sox fans don't watch, that he is like Luis Robert. He will swing at a pitch that's above his head and a pitch that's on the ground. So did Vladimir Guerrero. Again, those guys did it. I've done it for a long, long time, but that's his style. So if White Sox fans stink, and mind you, don't call me racist. Don't let me think I put Robert in a box. I know Luis Robert. I know Latino players. If you guys think Luis Robert is going to be going into the eye pitch and analyzing the iPad and changing everything that's made him successful to get to this level, I'm not betting on that. So this whole thing of like, oh, he's not going to chase. He's not.
Well, didn't he already admit like he doesn't care for the details, for the information, for the analytics, and the video?
Juan Uribe would bring a magazine to hitters meetings, and players would be like, I want to be like that guy because I overanalyze things. They used to look at like, hey, Juan, who's this guy warming up? Mind you, the guy's been pitching for Verlander. Sees them every other day, every other week. And he's like, I don't know. What number? or you don't know. There's guys that are natural hitters that are very great. Jordan Alvarez. You see Jordan Alvarez? Jordan Alvarez is not – look, he sees pitch, he hits. So his style of play, he cannot change, and his development. But his whole thing is staying healthy. Last year, the reason I think that I have a positive on him is Last year, he played a lot of games where he was hurt and was used in a very awkward situation by Tony, where he was hurt, he'd bench him for 4 days and then play him. It's like, okay, I'm hurt, but now you're making it double hard for me because I haven't had an at bat in 4 days. So not only cannot swing, but now I have absolutely no chance. I'm cold. So that's one of the knocks I give Tony on how he handled Robert. I don't know if he didn't want to be voiceful. He should have said, shut me down. I'm done. I'm not playing anymore. The number right now, he's played 77 games and there's 80 games left, about 85 games left. If he plays 75% of the games that are left in the calendar, he will hit 140 games. So if
that's
he plays,
what I want to see.
Correct.
140 plus.
If he plays 135 to 140 this season, and I'm so scared for White Sox fans because I think that he will put the numbers up there. The White Sox might lose 100 games. Robert still will hit 40 home runs. He'll probably be a top 20 guy offensively in Major League Baseball. Okay.
And he still not might get 100 RBIs, even with 40 bombs on this team.
Correct. And he might not get 100 RBIs. But that will be a development, and he will be a piece, meaning you still need to see the growth on that. So I need to see out of that, like those 85 games that he has right now, I need to see him complete. If he plays 120, I'm like, wow, it's great because it's more than 100. But his number right now in his head should be with his talent. And this is something that a coach would tell him. Again, the coaches that I've been around would be like, Lewis, if you stay healthy and you play 140, you will hit the numbers. Like, because he has that talent.
Well, what I want to see out of Pantera is like, especially him hitting that number 140, but I want him to take command of the strike zone. Like, even throughout this stretch of him fucking destroying the baseball, I still don't feel like he's on top of pitchers. It's just like he sees a ball middle third in and he's just turning on it rather than, spitting on anything outside. Like, Slavko, you alluded to the fact, why are you not giving this man a steady diet of breaking balls if he's showing you he's not going to spit on the outer third part of the plate? He's not going to do that. He's just going to wave at it and miss. So, I want him to hit the games, but I want him to take that element out of his offense because
that's not happening.
Then you'll see he could very well have a 40 home run season and have a sub 900 OPS just because of that right there.
To me, what separates him, and this is why I still think the best hitter on the White Sox all around, I think TA is the best hitter when he's right. His approach, bat to ball,
Eloy?
He's going to have the highest average. It's Eloy. I don't think it's close.
You put Eloy's brain on Pantera.
Center field, opposite field, you see all of his home runs hit over the right center field fence. That's when he is locked in. He hit that double off Ohtani earlier in tonight's game, ripped down the left field line on a pitch inside. You throw him a hanger, he can weigh back on it, shoot it to the opposite. Like, he can, it's not just home run, strikeout, 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 home run, strikeout, strikeout, pop up, home run, fly out, strikeout. It's like he's spraying the ball, like you said. He takes what the pitcher gives him. He will maybe sacrifice when he gets into a 2-strike count, and maybe I'm not going to wait for a mistake. Like, all right, I have something that can kind of hit and just poke something to right field, or go back up the middle with a grounder, a hard hit ground ball. That's why, to me, Eloy is the best hitter on this team when he's going right.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's close. Luis Robert might put up the gaudiest numbers. He might be the most entertaining. He might be able to do it as easy as anyone else, but he doesn't have the same, I'm talking about pure hitting, putting up, crazy all-around offensive numbers. I think Eloy still has the higher ceiling.
Can I give you another? There's another guy that has
yes, you can.
Situation. No, I just saying it's funny because
it's like
you bring
you're telling
it
on somebody.
No, because I am telling. Because it's called Jake Berger. Psst. It's called Jake Berger.
He's having a rough go right now.
I had an argument with somebody because they asked me between him and Andrew Vaughn, and I said Andrew Vaughn is a better hitter than Jake Berger, meaning pure hitter. Because I know if they throw Andrew Vaughn a ball in the middle, he is trying to take it the opposite way. I can see their batting practice and say, okay, this guy in a hard matchup, Andrew Vaughn is going to have a better chance against his hardest pitcher than Berger will. Berger's going to hit the guy that he's going to kill. He's going to hit it 700 feet and take him deep, where Vaughn might get a double. But when they face the hardest pitcher, they're like their biggest opponent. I'll take Vaughn being able to get on base and getting a hit over Berger. And that's a storyline with a lot of baseball players in their history, because it's like you hit and miss. When we're talking about Pantera, it's like literally with Eloy. I don't know if it's because of his maturity. Again, he's been a guy that's kind of like, that's his approach. He's always been a middle out type of hitter where, I called him Miguel Cabrera, like up the middle. And then when he's really going, he's got the power of when he's hitting balls out in their batting practice, it's opposite field. Like he's putting balls in the upper deck. Jim told me, it's like, for me, it might be a single because I'm a little guy and it's not, I don't have power. This guy's putting it in the upper deck because, his power that he has. So from a hitting standpoint, I think that when you're talking about pure hitters, and I think that that's you want to see the maturity of like that's coming, but you haven't had time to focus on that because of the injuries. And he's been a guy, Eloy's a guy on the trade. If I'm a team, if I am a team in contention, the only reason that I am asking for Eloy Jimenez is because I know if this guy is hot, he has produced. It's not a potential thing. It's not, he might do it. If Eloy is healthy and breathing, he will put up the numbers because he's done it. Like, you look at his numbers, and even his injured numbers, like he played 50 games. Oh, he hit 12 home runs. Like his numbers, it's like if he plays, he's on. And that's where I think the guys have value. With Eloy, I'm not like, he's not like potentially if he plays 180 games, like he'll hit none. Like if he has the games in him, the numbers will be there.
Yeah, and then like one thing, Eloy is a big man, but one thing he does well, like Opie does it too, they jam themselves as right-handed power hitters, and they do a good job hitting behind runners. I think that's another thing that Luis Robert needs to work on because, every hitter wants to get extension, but sometimes that's playing right into the pitcher's hands. They're snapping you right off at the handle, and 6-4-3, you're out of the inning. But instead, you're shooting it in between the first baseman and second baseman, and now you're in a first to third situation. That's probably been the issue with the White Sox. We haven't been putting ourselves in a first to third situation. It's just been a solo home run and 3 Ks.
Vaughn did do that tonight. Productive outs, we've talked about a lot. He moved the runner over from second to third. I think with nobody out, and the Sox, of course, stranded that runner at third base, but that's a different story. Gonzo, what do you think? Luis Robert, everyone's wanting to label him a superstar. What you think? You're muted. Muted.
All right. For me, it's also like what Junior was alluding to, and that Eloy and Robert, I just want to see them healthy together because we know that when they're healthy and on, both of them are hitting for power and their slash lines are ridiculous. But again, it's staying healthy for those two, and I need more consistency with their at-bats. In his second at-bat tonight, Ohtani threw him 3 sweepers, and he took all of them and then was looking for that fastball and got a 3-0 and just got it off the end of the bat and went to the warning track. But again, when he's on right now, that's, his mind is focused, and I don't question the at-bat. And I don't know why people are getting so excited for his Golden Glove out there. Like, we know he can run and track down baseballs. For me, what I'm focused on, it's what we've been seeing for so many years now, and that's his arm.
Oh my God! Sorry, Ozzy's wearing the Yerminator jersey on the show right now. What the hell is he doing? Why is Ozzy wearing the Yerminator?
But Germinator's playing in Venezuela. Germinator, for everyone that's listening and does not know where the Germinator is at, the Germinator is playing in summer ball in Venezuela.
Again,
you follow the league. Yeah.
Still pumping home runs, too. I've seen some clips.
For sure.
40 seconds around the bases. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I see no improvement in his arm since he's gotten to the big leagues. And I don't know, what they're doing with him, but I really see him still hitting the cutoff man strong with the throw, and even planting himself to go into his, his
footwork is bad still.
His footwork is awful, and just getting in, prepping himself to get into a crow hop. I've never seen. He's still throwing off his back foot. And the arm is just weak, so he's just allowing base runners to advance and score. It's frustrating watching him play center field in those situations, and I just want to see him improve on that aspect of the game because I think that's what holds him back, and I don't know why it doesn't get talked about at all either.
This is what I worry about, and it sounds worse than what I'm trying to say. I worry about how smart Luis Robert is on the baseball field. I think he's so talented. He is such a good athlete. The ball's in the gap, go get it. There's nothing to think about. Go with the ball. At the plate, you're not seeing a ton of adjustments. You're not seeing progression with laying off the off-speed stuff or stuff off the plate or any breaking pitch. Like, that's what I'm worried about. Like, but on the other hand, if there's just someone that's able to get through to him, how easy he makes Major League Baseball look sometimes, just off pure talent and athleticism. If he puts it together up here, you are talking about one of the top 3 to 5 baseball players in Major League Baseball. Ohtani aside, since he's on his own tier, like, he's up there with the Trouts and
with the
prime
Tatis.
Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
Fuck Tatis. I'll take Machado over Tatis personally.
No, Tatis is a top 5 right fielder right now in the game.
Well, he's supposed to be a shortstop. That's a different story, though.
I mean, why did Nando catch this straight? Yeah.
By the way, top 5 right fielder in the game right now.
Yeah.
We're not getting into all that.
Yeah, we're not getting into that, but I definitely have to.
This is not a San Diego Padres podcast.
No, it's not.
They also shout out James Shields.
But you know what's crazy is that Luis Robert is strong like an ox. And his throwing arm is a liability. Like, if you look at Luis Robert play the center field position and take a guy like Harrison Bader, who is fundamentally sound, like, they're 2 totally different players. And Luis Robert is the one winning the Platinum Glove, and he's rated the best center fielder in the game. But when I could watch an average Joe like Bader, how is he so much? How is he advanced more than Luis Robert?
Because Luis Robert has not improved, and this is a situation where we go back on when guys get there, okay, and rely on what got them there and don't keep improving. The situation with the White Sox, other than health, okay, and again, health is a factor that's always in our forefront. Other than the guy that we're going to talk next about, which is Dylan Cease, there's very little players that have improved. Okay, TA, it's a great 60-game season, batting title, blah 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 blah. Okay. It's like this: decline. Moncada, great season, decline. Not only offensively, even you look at their defenses, like, everyone has declined. With the moment they got there, very little players have gone up in their style, production, and what they're doing. Like Pantera, I understand that your offense is going to take a hit, and it's Major League Baseball. But defensively, you should have gotten way better. Like, defensively, from the first year being in the big leagues to now, you should be playing at guaranteed rate. Like, hit it. If it's in the stands, I can't get it. But anywhere else, I feel really comfortable. And he actually looks more uncomfortable now than when he first got called up. So as the game progresses, you need to feel more comfortable in your position. And that's not the case with a lot of these players. So it's that daily improvement where I think the White Sox players struggle on getting better. And I mean, like, getting better. Like, Grifol needs to be better tomorrow than he was today. Katz needs to be better tomorrow than he was today. The front office, like, no one improves better. Like, everyone gets there at the level that they're at, and then it's like, okay, and then no one improves. Like, even the guys they call up, like, no one does anything better. If it's chase rate, if it's walk rate, no one improves. Everyone just stays at the same level that they're in or digress. And that's not great when you're developing and you're trying to build, guys and the culture and winning and whatnot. But I feel like that's a cultural issue where no one's held accountable on, like, getting better at little things. Like, you see them making mistakes and you're like, wait a minute, you should have, you should have been improved that from last year. The little things. And again, we always focus about the big numbers, but those things like playing the outfield or like, if Andrew Vaughn was not adapting well to first base, like, it's been 6 months, buddy, you're not playing the outfield anymore. It's like, when do you rip the cord and say, hey, it's not your second week in the big leagues. It's not your second week playing the position. Let's get this together. Like, so for me, Roberto on the defensive side, he's gotten away because his talent is just amazing, but he has not become a better center fielder.
Is there any area of his game that's polished right now, year 3?
You talking about Eloy or Robert?
Robert.
No.
That's sick.
He's not, he doesn't hit for a high average. He doesn't not chase. He's not drawing walks. Defensively, like, natural ability is insane. He's still not technical. If you put Kevin Kiermaier's brain in Luis Robert's body, you have maybe one of the best center fielders in the history of Major League Baseball defensively.
Yes.
And that's no exaggeration.
No, none whatsoever.
Also, shout out to Gabe for mentioning us on Twitter, rating us on his top 5 podcast for the White Sox content. Thank you, Gabe.
Let's go, Gabe.
Yes.
By the way, Eloy Jimenez just hit a piss missile to left field. Slider down the middle, first pitch, 109 miles per hour, double. Sox trying to rally here in the 9th inning. No spoilers here anyway. All right, so we're going to move on. Luis Robert. Oh, Sox got some going here in the 9th inning. All right, so we've hit on Kopech, we've hit on Robert Jr. You mentioned it. We'll get to Cease, but before we get to Cease, we got something to discuss here coming up on Griffol's Grounds.
I don't have a problem making decisions. I don't have a problem making a call on a pitcher. I don't have a problem making a call on whatever our team needs at this particular moment.
Something we have not seen very much with the White Sox, actually never up until recently, is Tim Anderson playing second base. Now we know he's been dealing with some shoulder injuries and he's struggling to throw the ball across the diamond. All of a sudden the Sox trot him out last week a couple games at second base. Obviously Pedro Grifol gets asked about it. There's a few theories here. Number one, it's just the White Sox being honest. TA is not 100%. They're kind of protecting his arm. Let's play him at second base. He has the natural ability to do it. He did it in the World Baseball Classic, just to get his bat back in the lineup, get him in the lineup again. Number two, potentially showcasing him for a trade and letting the rest of Major League Baseball know, if you want a second baseman, TA, he's open to it theoretically. If it's a winning team that's going to trade for him, he doesn't really have a choice. If they're going to say, you're going to come play with us, you're going to play second base, we're going to try to win a World Series, I'm sure he'd be amenable to that. And then number three, it's like, is there something else internally with this organization that is happening with TA that maybe they're trying to make room for somebody else, or who knows what? The timing of it felt very coincidental with the whole shoulder injury and, I can't throw the ball. Gonzo, let's start with you. What do you think the White Sox were doing there with TA at second?
You kind of just said everything I was thinking of, showing versatility for his value, going elsewhere perhaps, or even like you said just now with, at least knowing that we can put him at second base in the line of getting our shortstop for the future. Because, ultimately we've discussed on the show how much of an athlete TA is, and he wasn't really a natural shortstop. So he was just an athlete. And now, again, though, in my opinion, I don't think Montgomery's ready at all yet to take over at shortstop. So many guys that with Rami, Popeye, who you just sent back,
Rami like Tommy.
God damn, I do it every time. Sosa, all these guys that you had hopes for, either shortstop or second base, we haven't got. Sosa's a different story with Gonzalez, but I at least want to see what Rodriguez did this past weekend. Didn't get to see it. Now we still don't know what we're doing at shortstop. So, and we've already talked about what the market looks like for shortstops, which is pretty bleak. So, are you going to try to trade one of these guys like Montgomery or TA for a shortstop? I don't know what you're going to do for Han. But yeah, at the most, I think of the two options that we just talked about, I think it's more so the versatility to show that what to go off of the Team USA with Timmy playing at second base. And I know Junior talked about him batting lower in the lineup and what he could provide down there. But ultimately, I think it's more so the versatility option. Whatever it is, I hope that for Tim's sake that he starts to turn it around, because it's due time for him, because we know when he is healthy, he is a above average bat. He won a batting title, Silver Slugger Award. We know what his bat can do, and I just want to see it because I know it's not done.
Jay, what you got?
This is some bullshit right here, because Slav, I'm gonna tell you another detail that kind of got my ears in the air. You moved my man off a shortstop, which is a socially significant position in the game. And then you took him out the leadoff spot too. So I think there's a little bit more to that as far as like, I don't know if Griffold's tired of TA shit, but there's just too much going on. Like if we've had shortstops hurt before. If you're hurt at shortstop, you're sitting down. I'm not moving you to second base. I feel like that's a little bit slight. That's a little bit disrespect to TA because he's the best shortstop in the organization. I'm not buying the injury thing because if he was really hurt, you would have sent him to the IL. Let's just be perfectly honest, especially with you calling up Remillard, Popeye, etc. So I just think it's more to it. But the showcasing to different teams is definitely there. Most of the teams that will be in play for Tim Anderson already have a shortstop in-house. So I'm pretty sure this is to market him as a second baseman. The Sox probably figured out that they would probably get more moving TA as a second baseman than they will as a shortstop.
I think the only team that's going to ask TA where he wants to play is the Chicago White Sox. I think that I saw Omar Vizquel playing second base and third base. I saw A-Rod would get moved to third. Like people in the city, man, like Ta's a great guy. You know, he's been off the field and he's done great things and he's a solid baseball player, but fans act like he's unmovable. This team has the worst OBP getting on base in the league. Okay, the fact that they're letting him hit second still, they're being very nice. Okay, because he should not be hitting in any of those top four spots. Okay, that's the number one thing, especially when you said that this team was going to be analytical. Number two, on him defensively, the team might be better with him at second base and with Elvis at short. The team, not for TA, because second basemen get paid less than shortstop. Again, the team. The fans need to realize is what's more important, the jersey in front that says Chicago White Sox or Tim Anderson and Tim Anderson's feelings. That's the big difference. I hope that they're having communication. I know TA is not happy. I don't care what he says. He's already had like 4 father figures in managers. He loved Ricky, loved Tony. Maybe he misses Tony. That's why he's not playing well. Loves Grifol.
He said he loves those guys. Whether he actually does
correct.
We don't
That's
know.
what I mean, though. But like, it's all talk. So it comes back to haunt you when you're doing that. I saw a situation where I saw a very good shortstop named Jose Valentin, a very good shortstop, a guy who raked when he was at the White Sox, but did not make the team better. And Ozzie knew that he was not going to get signed, and that the team was not better with him. So guess what? Look how many times Valentin played after the All-Star game. Juan Uribe was the shortstop because it was the future for his team. He could care less what Valentin did, and I'm sure it cost him money, and I know it didn't make him happy with Ozzie, and there was rift there, like never publicly, but I'm sure he wasn't happy. So it's like, what's better for the team? That's why when he went to Team USA, he knew that he was going to play second. He was probably like, I'm happy I'm in the lineup, that I'm in this team in the lineup. The White Sox fans thought that he was going to be like the captain of the team. When he walked into that clubhouse, he looked around and said, oh, okay, I'm lucky if I hit 7, 8, or 9. Maybe he didn't think in his head, but all the other players did. So that's the reality of it. So number one, I think that I'm concerned that the shoulder injury might be worse than they're making it out to be. So he might have to play second base just because the throw from short might be too much for him at this point. So that's a preparation mentally. Number two, he wants to be in the lineup. Why does he want to be in the lineup? He's trying to get paid. You only get paid if you play because he has to produce. He can't play shortstop because his injury won't let him. So he said, I'll play anywhere as long as I'm in the lineup. Well, you can't DH because we got 9 of those. So you got to play second. Okay, I'll play second. That's what I think. And I think that the Sox were not going to say no because at the moment that he can play second, his value automatically goes up. You know, TA might go to the Dodgers and they might say, grab your left field glove, buddy. You're playing left field for 2 innings. Like, you don't have a choice. Like, when you work for a team, there's managers and there's franchises where they don't ask you about your feelings. How do you feel today? How do you do? Like, there's guys that don't play their bench. There's guys that play you wherever the hell they want to play you. There's guys that you get platoon. You only play versus righties. You only play versus lefties. So the only organization that they're asking you about your feelings and how are you doing and are you okay today and is the weather nice is the Chicago White Sox. A lot of other places they don't put up with this stuff. So I think for him is a benefit because number one, I think that he needs to be and find his stroke. And again, I think TA is above average hitter who puts the ball in play. And when he is going, he's a good player. But is he Ricky Henderson that you can't move him from the top spot? No. And he should swallow his pride and be okay with that. And that's why Grifol gets in trouble because a couple of nights before, he says, I'll never move TA from the leadoff spot. He'll never not play shortstop. And then when you see him playing that, it's not that he's wrong. You just say, you're full of it, dude. You're so full of it. And that's what this team gets in trouble for. They talk too much, and they're so full of it. And that's the problem. I think TA brings a lot of value. You put TA on the Braves, where he doesn't have to be the man, where, he put TA on the Dodgers, where he doesn't have to be the man. Put TA on the Padres where he doesn't have to be the man. There's a lot of teams, man, where he could be a role player. He could be a very, very, very dangerous player, not being the guy. That's
well, nobody who's trading for him this year that's a contender is trading him to be the guy.
No one thinks that he's the guy outside of the city of Chicago.
I don't know. I don't know that I agree with that.
It's a lot of people.
I'm talking about a team. You're going to build a team, and you're going to say TA is going to be my guy, and we're going to build around Tim Anderson.
He's not your first pick, no.
Okay.
No.
Some of my coworkers where I'm at out here that are Padres, Dodgers fans. Several of these Dodgers fans are like, "Who the hell is TA?" And I'm just I'm mind blowing as
Dodgers
like
fans.
Me being me, but some of these guys are like, no, like not just like
I mean, if
Dodgers fans. Some of these guys are legit.
Like if he goes to the Yankees, he's a starting shortstop.
I'm sorry, but there's no Major League Baseball fan who doesn't know who TA is. An actual baseball fan.
No, they know him. He's for whatever reason you're gonna know him for his hitting, for stuff. He's a very known player. I think that I like him for a couple of reasons. I think that he's a player that when the playoff time gets going and the lights are on, I think he always performs with the big games. He's a big game player, I think.
The biggest game he's ever played in, unfortunately, is the Field of Dreams.
But
game.
that's what I mean, though. But I think that anytime there's attention, that he knows that it's a big game, like a national televised game, or he performs very well. So if he goes to a team where there is that pennant race, where there is that, even in the playoffs, like the short times that he's been, he was one of the guys that looked the most confident. Like I belong here.
Doesn't he have 17 hits in 6 career playoff games or something crazy?
So his numbers are very good. So I think if you put him in a team where guys are like, hey, dude, you don't have to be the guy. And again, the media and the fans put a lot of pressure on him. I'm like, this is the guy. Eat pasta, talk like he has this aura of you represent so much. You are the White Sox. You're this. And it's wait a minute. You're putting a lot of pressure on this guy. He's probably embarrassed that, oh man, I'm at second now. I'm not playing. I'm not hitting leadoff, and he shouldn't be. That's just part of maybe the team is better, so he shouldn't feel that pressure. So I don't know if someone pulled him aside and say, hey man, this is not a predicament of who you are. It's just this is what we might have to do right now for you, maybe, or the team. So I don't think. I think that's when they say a change of scenario. I think it might be more of a pressure thing because if they let him just play, he's a way better version than Nick Swisher. When Nick Swisher got traded to the White Sox, I'm being serious, dude. When Nick Swisher got traded to the White Sox, they had a parade, an imaginary parade, and they had the Dirty 30, and they said that this guy was going to come here analytically and drop 55 home runs and walk 150 times, and he sucked. Great guy off the field. He sucked. And then he went to the Yankees and won a couple rings and was amazing, and that's why he's in every commercial and every single time, and everyone in New York thinks he's the greatest player to ever play because he actually did really well there. Why? Because the Yankees traded for a corner outfielder to hit 7th or 8th and be a role player and not a starting center fielder to hit 3rd. So that's why TA, in that scenario, if you put him in a team where he can actually shine, he can still be an all-star. He can still be amazing. I think he has a lot of pressure in Chicago. Why? Going back to this, there is no dude. So we're looking between the word dude and leader. I'm so tired of who's the leader of the White Sox? Who cares? People think that everyone goes in the clubhouse and says, hey, Slav, you're the leader. What are we doing today? No one does that. Burley wasn't a leader. Burley never said, hey, guys, I'm Mark Burley. I'm the leader of this team. No, Konerko never said, "Hi guys, I'm Paul Konerko. I'm the leader of this team." No one ever said that.
Konerko did not want to be named captain.
He didn't want to be named captain. He was like, no. What does the captain do? Ozzy, the manager, would be like, "Yes, I'm the boss," and he'd tell people he was the boss. But out of the players, no one ever said, "I'm the leader." Even when PK was named the captain, they didn't go to him. He just dealt with like, "You're the captain, man. You deserve that." But he wasn't. It was like a different. Like if people say like Chris Widger was probably one of the biggest leaders, Willie Harris, because they would constantly get on players and be on them. So this whole scenario of like, you need to have somebody come in and be like, "Hi guys, I'm the leader of the team and we're going to play well." And how I play, this is Major League Baseball, man. Like this stuff. And then like trying to make guys dudes, that's pressure on them. Like Tim Anderson, that's pressure on him. Taking off the stuff that he's doing off the field, players are going to struggle. And he was really good for 3 years where this team was not very good at all. And no one was watching him. And now this year he's struggling, plus injuries. So when people say, does he need to change the scenario? I think he just needs maybe just so he doesn't have to be the dude and he can just focus on playing. That's just my take. Because I think that he has a lot of value.
And that's why the White Sox need Billy Hamilton for his leadership. I had to get a reference in. I'm sorry. All right.
And I'm saying, well, Billy is that guy, though.
All right. Real quick. Jay, in 5 weeks, is Tim Anderson on the White Sox?
Yes.
Gonzo, in 5 weeks, is Tim Anderson on the White Sox?
Yes.
Junior?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I just don't think there's any major shakeups coming.
They have 1 more year of control for him.
But it's a team option. And I think it's like $14.5 million. I could be wrong. I mean, it's a very affordable deal.
That's a compared to the only reason, and Jay and Jay had a good point on this. The only reason that I want to keep TA is when we did the analysis about 4 weeks ago and we saw what was out there in the free agent market. Okay, there's nothing. Okay,
TA will have his 31-year-old season, $14 million club option.
I might even extend them. Why? There's no one that has been brought up. No one that plays middle infield that's better than Tim Anderson on his worst day.
The problem is you can talk extension all you want. He's going to want to get paid like a premier shortstop. He's said that multiple times.
No, it's not going to be here. Yeah,
it's going to be a Giolito situation.
Correct.
The White Sox are going to say, we'll give you 3 for 65. TA is going to be like, I need 5 for 120.
Giolito is writing an email and telling his close friends how frustrated it is. Tim Anderson will be very Ozzie Guillen, and he'll let us know how he feels publicly. There's a big difference on those two types of, and it's fine because again, I think TA and Ozzie are very alike when it comes to that. They're very passionate. But I think that my concern is, and again, it falls back on Montgomery. I have not seen a middle infielder say that's the guy that's going to take TA's job. I haven't seen it yet. Facts.
All right, last thing for tonight, Dylan Cease. We got to get him in the show. His last 9 starts, 51 innings. We'd still like to see the innings go up, but 2.82 ERA, 61 strikeouts, 19 walks. Opponents are hitting 203 against him with a 624 OPS. Unfortunately for him, the Sox are only 5-4 in those outings. The run support obviously has not been there. Gonzo, what have you seen from Cease, man? Like, I know you mentioned last week, once the sliders start sliding again, things will be all right. He's looking more and more like that guy from last year, and it sounds like him and Ethan Katz have been doing quite a bit of work.
And I'm glad
I'm
glad Juan Diego's in the chat because I told him, Juan, watch out, man. So when that slider starts rolling, he's going to be back to his normal self.
Oh, you really went out on a limb there.
But for me, it is the maturation of that third pitch with that knuckle curve. And I just wish that they took advantage. I'm not sure if it's Katz calling it or Cease still, but I just wish that Cease could have realized a little bit sooner that slider, he wasn't getting that feel for it, and he would have went more so to that knuckle curve and played around more so with that changeup for when he was struggling with the feel for that slider. But now that slider, he's got that feel back for it, and now you see that that knuckle curve usage up, that he's got 3 pitches he can throw at any moment, and that is absolutely helping with his pitch efficiency as of lately. Like you said, in those 9 starts, 51 innings, only 19 walks, but 61 strikeouts, 2.8 ERA, and 10.8 Ks per 9. he is absolutely dealing. And this last start he had yesterday, 6 innings, no walks, 10 strikeouts. And I want to end that agenda that he can't pitch versus good teams because he just shut out the Angels, Houston twice this year. Like he's got some starts in there where he's dominating good teams. So, and we just keep seeing that ERA drop, and I hope that it might not happen, but I really hope he gets a call to Seattle because he didn't get it last year for the All-Star game, and I would love for him to get there.
He won't get it this year.
Probably won't get it as much as I want him to see him there. But that's a guy that I'm confident in since I've, completely fall for what he has as a pitcher. I'm excited where the trend, because the arrow's pointing up with him as it has been since really 21 with how many strikeouts he's had since then. The guy's unbelievable, and I just want to see him stay consistent with his pitch efficiency with those 3 pitches because he's building. And I saw him throw a changeup to Ohtani that Ohtani just shook it off because he didn't see it coming. And if he's dabbling with that 4th pitch, I'm getting excited.
I'm making it more simple. Oh, Jay, you're gonna go first. Go.
Yeah, I just want to say Dylan Cease has been living the 4-seam dream the past month or so. If you look at the strikeouts he had of Ohtani and Trout yesterday, he straightened them up with the 4-seamer. Ohtani got him on a slider that was about an inch or 2 inside, and Ohtani pummeled it for 446 feet to right center field.
Did you see Cease's reaction?
Yeah, like the ball.
It wasn't an awful pitch.
He was like,
it wasn't an awful pitch.
Like he looked straight at, like the ball went straight in the air on TV, and Cease almost broke his damn neck trying to figure out like how the hell did he just shoot this ball that far in the air?
And he knew
it that far away. Yeah, he knew it was gone. Cease knew it was gone off of the sound of the bat. But to that point, I love what Dylan Cease is doing with the 4-seam fastball. Gonzo, you want that to be the 4th pitch. Look at the run value he's been giving us with the 4-seam fastball. It's probably been like a +12 or some goofy number like that. And he hasn't been that guy in his career. Like his 4-seamer has been traditionally the worst pitch leaving his hand. So if he's going to show me that his fastball can be an absolute weapon, I'm all in. And it fucking sucks that the White Sox are a terrible team that is just letting him pile up the no decisions. Like this is worse than Jose Quintana in his prime with the no decisions.
This is like Chris Sale. This is like Chris Sale.
No,
Jose Quintana.
Quintana went like 5 straight seasons with getting like 2 or fewer runs more than anyone in baseball by a mile.
Yeah, but he wasn't throwing the sauce that Cease was.
Joel, just because the stuff wasn't as good doesn't mean that Quintana's numbers weren't as good.
Quintana had great. You know what? I think that it's a kind of partially what happened to Quintana. I'm glad that a lot of guys, they're not looking at the 3-3. I look at his health. In today's game of baseball, a lot of guys that have thrown as much as he has in the last 3 years have a downtime healthy-wise. And Cease is probably one of the healthiest pitchers in the game of baseball. When you look at his numbers, other than his ERA this year, compared to like last year, obviously he finished second in the Cy Young. He's going to finish again with 32 starts, 32 starts. The number of like his ERA is probably going to be a little bit higher, but like the strikeouts are going to be there. And then the innings, again, going back to my innings obsession, 180, it's going to be there. Like it's good. He's going to hit at least, if the health is there, he's going to hit 150. And because he's at 90 something now. So and we're halfway through the year almost. So he's like duplicating at least production wise what he did. Obviously last year was at an elite level, and not saying that he can be there. So that's what you want from a pitcher. I disagree with you guys that he's not going to be an all-star. I was actually counting the days, depending on where he falls in his last start. If Dylan Cease is eligible to pitch during the all-star game, because his start matches up when he ends, he will be picked up and taken.
Just on the fact that he's available to pitch.
Just on the fact, I'm saying like he's like, you know how they pick a guy but you can't pitch because it falls on the day that you just started.
Oh yeah, like his rotation day.
Like his rotation day. Like if his rotation day matches up with the All-Star game, because managers are going to say this guy deserved to go last year. Okay, from the White Sox, there's not one player that you can say take that guy. That guy deserves to go. You know what I mean?
They did that to him
It's
last
Robert.
year. They did that to him last year. They picked the A's. What with Blackburn was it? Like
Yeah.
with the,
So if he can't pitch, even I don't think that his numbers are good. I think that he still has a hope to go because he's a pitcher, and if he can't pitch, he's not going. Like if they match up and say
he's got a 4.04 ERA right now. So you got to think probably 2 more starts, maybe 3 before the All-Star game. If he wins 2 of those 3 and pitches well and gets his ERA, 3.25 or lower, he might have a shot.
Who's the American League? Dusty?
Yeah.
No, who's the Dusty?
Oh, the manager, yeah.
Okay. Because managers have to pick the last couple guys on the roster, right?
Mm-hmm.
it's Dusty sees.
I'm just saying, like when you've seen a guy again, they look at like, oh, where's this guy done? Like again, there's not. You have to. By the way, you have to take a representative from every team. That's like it has to happen.
And I hate that rule. I really do, and that's why Cease was.
Well, you should like it, Slot, because no one from the White Sox would have gone for like 20 years.
Kenyon Middleton.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, but I mean, like, I think regardless of that rule, Robert would be an All-Star this year.
I think,
but more than likely, he's just going to be their guy, their representative.
Yeah.
I
still think that with him, you can talk about 2 pitch. I like the fact that he is figuring out how to pitch when he doesn't have his best stuff. That's what I like, because he's a very mental guy. I'm never let Gonzo talk to him about pitching, because you'll probably leave the conversation being like, I should have a 3rd, 4th, and 8th pitch. He is that guy. So I like that
he needs to learn a screwball, a sinker,
knuckle
gyro ball.
If I'm those conversations as he's having with Ethan Katz, I hope that they're very simple and they don't make it too complicated, because Cease is the smartest guy in the room. There's other guys that pretend they're the smartest guys in the room, Lucas Giolito, but they're not the smartest guy in the room. Cease knows what he's talking about when it comes to pitching. He knows so much about himself in pitching that it actually works against him. Like he used to know and be like, my fingers are off by two. Like I need to make my 2 seam fall here. And if it wasn't perfect, and that's when he would try to perfect it, and he'd have like 90 pitches in the 3rd inning. So for him, it's more about like, if something's not working, how do I battle? And I think every Major League Baseball player has to do that. And if I was Cease, I would literally sit next to Lance Lynn, because he is the definition of that. Lance Lynn sometimes goes up to pitch, and you're like, oh my God, they're going to score 95 runs off of him. And they do, but he still pitches his like 6 innings and finds a way. But that's big league pitching. And then some days he comes out with 91 and strikes out 16 guys. That's big league pitching. That's when you take it to that you've been in the big leagues a lot. If Cease can figure out a way to compete like he has this year without his best stuff, we have an ace. And that's what I think that he's going to represent again this year.
All right,
I agree with OJ, because through 91 innings, he has 110 strikeouts.
Yeah.
Like, he deserves to be there.
He's got a shot. If he has a couple 2-3 more good starts before the All-Star break, I think he's got a good chance. And that's why Gonzo is going to take us through Southside Daily. All right, guys, I got no idea why I got that accent out, but here you go. All right, Gonzo, can you tell us, I've been listening to the show for a long time, first time caller. Can you tell us what are the pitching matchups coming up here? Is that Trubinsky guy gonna play at all? Are we gonna see him at all?
Is that Connor Bedard's voice? I don't know where we're going at here.
There's not Canadian even in the slightest. That's just Bridgeport. Go ahead. What do we got for Southside Daily?
All right, Wednesday tomorrow we got Giolito versus Berea. Thursday, Lynn versus Sandoval, and that wraps up the 4-game series with the Angels out there in Anaheim. And then they stay on the road. They go to Oakland Friday, likely going to be a bullpen game. Banks versus Harris. Saturday, the guy we were just talking about, the mustache man, Dylan Cease, up against Medina. And then we wrap it up on Sunday with Kopech versus the guy I brought up earlier in Blackburn. Guy to highlight there in that lineup. He was hot earlier in the season, cooled off, but it is the rookie Brent Rooker. 242, 13 homers, 38 ribbies. Jay, do you have anything about these A's?
Big numbers.
Yeah, big numbers.
Yeah.
You want? They're talk about that speedster too.
Oh well, yeah. Exterior.
Ricky Henderson.
He's been kind of cold late the last 2 weeks, but he's starting to turn it on a little bit. Had a couple RBI singles. I'm not really too afraid of anybody in Oakland, to be honest with you, especially with how their middle relief is set up. The only arm that'll probably perk my ears up is J.P. Sears, so we probably won't even see him. My eye is on the matchup against Patrick Sandoval, because that is one of those situations to where if you're Eloy, if you're Luis Robert, if you're Jake Berger, you're gonna have to protect against the changeup low and away, because that's his bread and butter. And he's going to nibble on the outside every time. He's one of those pitchers that don't split the plate. He doesn't command both sides of the plate. So your plate discipline is going to be on full display. That'll be a good barometer to see where we are as far as like in the progress with Luis Robert and Eloy. But something tells me I shouldn't hold my fucking breath for any improvement in that regard.
Because you're a smart White Sox fan.
I hate it.
By the way, the A's are on pace for 120 losses, which is insanity. And if I remember correctly, last year Sandoval 6 innings, 3 earned runs, pitched really well against the White Sox until they got him. I think it was either really early in the game. I want to say they got him for like a run or two in the first, or it was at the end of his outing. But he's an underrated pitcher.
Yeah, he's solid. He's a really good solid lefty. But hopefully we put 12 on him.
I want to see how the
13
matchup,
even.
The second matchup goes with Lance Lynn versus the Angels, because we saw what happened at home at the rate to Lance Lynn.
I hope Ohtani gets a day off. And Trout. And Renfroe.
But then after the A's, they come back home and start the series versus the Blue Jays at home on Tuesday. It's going to be Giolito versus likely going to be Bassitt. That's still projected. We'll see if they change it out. But again, they're going to be facing looks like it's going to be the whole AL American League All-Star lineup, because that's all the country votes for. And we're going to see Bichette batting .323, 14 homers, 47 ribbies. Vlad is in there too, Vlad Jr. Go ahead and walk us through the team that you hate, Justin.
Well, those guys absolutely make me sick. But
you hate Canada's team?
I hate them. Absolutely.
You're an Expos fan?
I did like Jose Vidro and Orlando Cabrera.
Oh, yeah, that's your boy.
That's my boy. But these Canadian birds, no, despise them. It's funny because Bo Bichette and Vladdy, they're kind of having weird years where Bo Bichette has 105 hits, I think 106, but the runs aren't there. Like, the Vladdy and Bo have been ground ball machines for this Blue Jays team, and they've been actually double play machines as well. So you can actually find some outs keeping it on the carpet with those two, especially with Bo Bichette not being as good as a base runner as I think he should be. This could be one of those series, Gonzo. We talked about it against the Red Sox where the White Sox took 2 out of 3. I think Toronto might be our next victims. I might
not the A's.
No, the A's we're gonna lose that series against the A's. Trust me.
That is embarrassing if you do.
I'm a smart
and
White
Bichette
Sox fan.
rakes against the White Sox.
Slump inbound.
I hope you're right. Is that it? Is that the whole schedule?
That's the whole schedule.
Can we get to the highlight of this show and the picks to click now?
No, my
Absolutely.
God.
Go do it, Gonzo.
Absolutely, because my pick to click won it this week, and Luis Robert was the AL Player of the Week as well.
Are you sure?
And I'm absolutely 100% sure of that.
What was his RF7 or whatever the hell stat you use that's made up?
I think it was like 29, to be honest with you.
I have no idea what that means.
The numbers for the week, I don't either, but I just like the number. But the numbers for the week was he batted in those 7 games, 444, had a gosh, Jesus, 1635 OPS and 4 homers, 5 ribbies. Similar numbers to Ellie De La Cruz, actually. It was kind of crazy.
Let that sink in, Gonzo. The man had 4 home runs, but only 5 RBIs.
And that's why the White Sox have lost
getting on base.
Recent series, yeah.
I wish I could. Oh, gosh, I know Juan posted it in the chat.
It's just very. It's when you. It was a hard week because the guy. I think the guy that I picked had a really good week, but just Robert's week was that much better. I think my guy would have won this week if Robert would have been player of the week.
My guy wouldn't have won at all.
Yeah. Junior, that's why.
Tia has had a rough year.
Junior, you're correct. That's why
on all fronts
you're going second.
No, I know, but
Vaughn,
I think
Vaughn did have a good week. Yes,
it was the best week I think of anyone in the White Sox. Obviously, player of the week. It was he, and again he can hit. He can go on a week and hit 4, 5, 6 home runs like no problem. That's who he is. That's the type of player that he is.
I want to make Slav feel a little bad, but Jose Rodriguez actually scored a run, and that was the most productivity out of between him and Tim Anderson. That's how bad.
TA had an RBI.
Did he?
How?
Oh yeah,
how is that fly?
For fuck's sake!
My
God
bad.
Damn
I
it,
thought
Gonzo.
I was gonna make him feel bad, but
shut your mouth when you're talking to me. All right, let's make these picks.
All right,
Junior's on. Wait,
what?
Who picked Robert?
Gonzo
did.
Oh, yeah. So
I thought Junior was on a heater for a second.
By the way, Benintendi had 8 hits too. By the way, guys.
Did he hit one to the warning track? He almost got his second homer.
He almost got a second one. I have to pick him for him to hit a home run that week.
But I made this pick at 7:30 in case you don't believe me from tonight's performance. But my pick's gonna be hi mom, Eloy. Hi Eloy. You're my pick to click for the week. Robert's off the board. It's gonna be Junior J Slav.
My boy, I'm
no. How did I get? How did Jay beat me? No, Junior's got second.
He picked Grandal. Grandal had a homer.
Went deep.
Wait, why'd you mention Jose Rodriguez?
Because I was messing with you with the production of one run versus one ribby.
Cut your face off. Go ahead.
Even good players can have a bad week. I'm gonna go with Andrew Vaughn again. I'm gonna stick with him. I saw.
Is that a thing? Oh yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, I could do that unless you win. I just saw Jake Berger taking at bat with 2 runners on, swung at 2 pitches up and high as a piñata, then grounded out to second, but the guy bobbled it. No, scared me.
Vaughn drove the.
No. I'm talking about. I'm not talking about today's game. I'm talking about at the end. And I was looking at my pick the clicks. I was watching the game as I was thinking who to pick, and I saw Jake Berger just have that at bat. And I said, "Not picking you. I'm going with Andrew Vaughn." So that the last at bat was my my decision maker. So I'm going with Andrew. I think he's swinging the bat well. Again, 2 home runs last week, 5 hits, 2 runs. I like it.
Gonzo, who'd you pick again? I just ignored you. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Eloy.
Fuck, that's what I was gonna take. I love the way Eloy looked tonight at the plate.
That's why I picked him.
Wait, sorry. Did you say something?
No.
Wait, I thought you said you picked him before the game started.
I did, but I just reassured myself when I was watching his bats.
Wow.
I did like the White Sox. I did like the White Sox comeback though, because of that comeback, potentially could win some money here. I went on the over on the 5.5 and a little parlay there with the Nationals.
About to get stuck with Kendall Graveman on this fucking pick. Let's go, Jay. Who you got?
I'm gonna go with Ivan Calderon this week. I feel like he's gonna give me some good production. But no, in all seriousness,
you want to pick Rooker?
No.
Okay.
And he's not a rookie, by the way. He's like 28 years old. I'm going with Jake Berger. I feel like with his approach, swinging at piñatas, I feel like everybody needs a party in their life.
Does he make the home run derby?
No.
Major League Baseball.
Robert has a better chance than Berger, unfortunately.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry,
I think both guys would put on a show, but I think Luis Robert just has raw power. Like in a home run derby, let him just open it up for like 90 swings.
Yeah,
you got to remember
the second half numbers go.
from July 7th to September 3rd, Luis Robert has been batting 167 with an OPS of 428. I could see it already right now.
By the way,
Do you guys know what you just left me with? What the fuck?
By the way, Jake Berger would make more money if he won the Derby than I think he would this year as a player.
Man, just
Yes,
pick
I
Tanner
think you're
Banks,
right.
Slob.
I think he would. So it would be a big deal for him if he goes. Like if he's going to try to win it, but he would get paid more.
Hey, Adam Hazley's back. Slav.
But he's the
Yeah,
Popeye
he pinch
guy
ran
gone?
tonight. Pay attention.
Is the
Jeez.
Popeye guy gone?
Popeye's gone.
Popeye's gone.
I'm going to take Billy Hamilton. Is that a thing?
No.
So,
Go ahead.
all right. Robert's not available. You took Aloy. You took Vaughn. You took Berger. I mean, fuck.
was
The only guy
Andrews.
left
TA or
is
Andrews?
TA, Andrews, and Benintendi.
Or Sebi.
And I don't
What
want to
about
take
Gavin?
any of them.
Sebi.
What about Gavin Sheets?
What about him? He's hitting 232.
Doesn't matter. He plays for the Sox.
He don't even play first base anymore. They had Berger there today.
All right. I'm going to. Fuck. I don't want to. I'm going to go with Benny.
You
Oh,
want
he's gonna go
Giolito?
deep. He's gonna go deep.
No, I'm not taking a
Giolito with 2
fucking
starts?
pitcher on picks to click because I'm not a psychopath.
He's got 2 starts.
And I'm not desperate. I think I'm still in the lead.
Oh, you are
So-
very
You're,
easily.
you're
So-
tied,
you are
actually.
you,
You're tied.
you are
Tied
Minnesota
with-
Twins. Tied with who?
Me.
You a lie.
No. Look at the standings.
This guy's just. Now he's just handing
I don't know.
himself
I thought
points.
last week like Slav was like leading by like 4 games.
I won last week.
You got.
Yeah,
I
that
think
was
you're
my
counting those
third.
White
That's a
Sox.
bunch of BS.
That was
Yeah.
my 3rd win, and then tonight's my 4th win. I'm sneaking back into the race.
Like, what
I
do you
don't-
do?
All
What
right,
do you
if
do
Benny
with your
Benny
hand?
hits a home run, do I get an automatic point?
Automatic.
Stop
Automatic.
that.
No.
Jesus. Why?
Automatic point.
No.
Why not?
No.
Okay, if I change my pick to TA and he hits a home run, do I get an automatic
Yes.
point?
You get
Yeah,
two.
we can do that.
Then I'd take
I can work with
TA.
that.
Fuck.
Yeah,
Sorry,
you
Benny.
get two. You get two. And the fact that T has not gotten a hit in 10 days and you're taking him. If he
I
hits
took him
twice-
last week.
No, but I'm saying like again, but you're taking him another week again.
Let's
If
do
he
it.
hits a home
Yeah,
run,
I'll take
he wins
TA.
automatically. Yeah.
He hits a
Yeah.
bomb, I get a point. Done.
King Mac will be proud of you. King Mac will be very proud.
TA it is.
All
The
right,
fact that fans
Chad.
are saying they want to see Remy, whatever guy his name is, over TA.
Rami?
Rami like Tommy.
Yeah.
The picks this week, Chad, is I'm picking Luis Robert Jr., OJ's picking Vaughn, Jay's picking Berger, and Slav's going with TA for the hope there to get that point on a home run. That
Watch
is our
him go
picks
like
this
9
week.
for 14.
But by the way, do you see how hard that was just to pick one player, pick the click? And Pedro Grifo wants to tell me that this team is doing great. I'm having a good time making this lineup. He is full of it when it comes to that. This guy's like, oh my God, who am I playing tomorrow?
And honestly, it's not like, like there's 5 guys on the injured list. You're just
No,
like,
it-
fuck. Like,
that's what I
it's
mean, though,
Moncada's
like,
the only guy missing.
Correct. So that's what I mean. Like the fact that you could be that positive and change
This
this
team
lineup. Like we
sucks.
literally just went through 4 guys and Slav was like, I don't have another pick to click. That is
We did.
concerning.
We didn't even go through Grifal's grounds to pick on Grifal pitching to Otani without any protection at all either.
Well, that's a different stuff. I'm saying like he's so positive that I like it that he is. That's great, but he cannot be enjoying making this lineup right now.
All right. What did we learn tonight? Gonzo.
I learned that I'm still saying Rami over Tommy.
Jay, what did we learn?
Yeah, I learned that this White Sox team don't care about my happiness, and good starting pitching gets wasted every day.
Junior, what did we learn?
I learned 2 things. Tim Anderson is going to be a Chicago White Sox by the end of the year still, and the fact that Dylan Cease actually has a better shot than I think that he does for the All-Star game, because I thought my shot was just because I was being crazy because I love Dylan, but now looking at the numbers, I like really feel that he has a shot.
Actually, Slav, I gotta say, what OJ said earlier with Tim Anderson playing through an injury that is probably worse than it is and moving him to second to make the throws a little bit easier on him. That was a good point that he said, and I want to highlight that because that was very well articulated.
If this was around the horn, they'd be giving you bloop, 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 bloop points right now.
Yeah.
I learned nothing because we suck as a podcast.
Wow.
Damn.
Hey, Gabe begs to differ. So go screw yourself.
No, I learned that actually Kopech finished with 7 walks tonight, which was obviously not ideal, but I believe that's a career high. Man, rough go. I learned that it's really hard to make a pick to click when you're the 4th of 4 because there ain't much to choose from. All right, guys, that's all we got for this episode, this edition of the Blackout Show. Shout out, as always, to Juan Diego and everybody else that was in the comments, watching, listening. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Blackout Show, Chi, CHI, Facebook. Gonzo's doing some stuff on TikTok, allegedly. There's an Instagram account. You can follow us and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, JoeSchmoPodcast.com, pretty much anywhere you consume.
They call it pictures
content.
porn. They call it picture porn.
Most importantly, picture. Go to Guillen Grid on YouTube and subscribe to that. There's a lot of great baseball content on there. For Chris Gonzalez, who's a total psychopath. For Justin Lee, who is an incestual psychopath.
Not anymore. Nope, not anymore.
And Ozzy Jr., who is a hereditary psychopath. I'm Slavko Bekovic, who's a tall Serbian psychopath. Thanks for listening to The Blackout Show. We'll see you next week.